Good evening. Welcome to Have I Got News for You? I'm Stephen Mangan. In the news this week, at an England training session, Gareth Southgate tries to win over his young squad by showing how much he's improved his penalty technique. At a Leave campaign reunion, David Davis hears that Michael Gove is about to throw himself off a balcony. And in Islington, on her first day in a new job, a Polish cleaner is given somewhat brusque instructions.
Oh, nice to see you here this morning. This is my house, by the way. Goodbye.
On Ian's team tonight, a German comedian who presented Channel 4's An Immigrant's Guide to Britain. Good luck getting a second series. Please welcome Henning Wehn. And with Paul tonight is the leader of the Scottish Conservative Party, who's described herself as a tough old bird and a short-haired, flat-shoed, shovel-faced lesbian. Who writes your speeches? Donald Trump. Please welcome Ruth Davidson, MSP. And we start with the biggest stories of the week. Paul and Ruth, take a look at this.
The pound is falling. That is illustrated by the falling pound there. I don't know who he is, but he's very happy to have PG Tips. PG Tips. Marmite. PG Tips and Marmite, and this is the danger of hay can suddenly explode at a moment's notice.
This is just typical BBC whinging.
Is it?
Yes. I mean, the suggestion the pound has crashed. I mean, it's gone down a lot and hit the bottom.
But it's bounced back up.
No, it hasn't.
As now?
No. Anyway, we're not allowed to say that because we're boring old, sneery liberal Ramonas.
No, come on, it's just a government ploy, isn't it? To make the UK as unattractive as possible for migrant workers. What they want to do is send stuff home, yes, the disposable money. And if that only buys you a loaf of bread, well, obviously they stay in Poland then, won't they?
Well, you're still here.
Well, if I had any transferable skills, Ian...
I just said that in case Amber Rudd comes around with a clipboard. My team has a foreign worker on it.
Well, who knows for how much longer I'm considering the citizenship test.
Can you queue?
If I have to, I'll try to get to the front as quickly as possible.
Yes.
I wasn't even booked to be on here this evening.
It's the first one to get the towel down on the chair, essentially.
This is the news that the pound has been subject to terrible fluctuations.
Yes.
To put the drop in the pound's value into context, shall we play a little game called...
Yeah.
What can you buy for a pound?
Yes. You can buy 10 of those graphics for a pound.
Last Friday, could you have bought this for a pound?
No.
Is the correct answer, yeah. In fact, I've got them here. Look. These are high-five puppets. And they retail at $1.19. And last Friday, the pound was only worth $1.15.
Yes.
Donald Trump's welcoming hands, are they?
Well, yes. What about a cap that says badass? You buy that for a pound?
Yes.
No.
No, you couldn't. No, that's $1.
No, I tried.
You did. $1.22, that cap. What about this? Could you have bought this for a pound?
Yes.
Well, actually, no.
Oh.
It went below for a while, didn't it?
It did indeed, especially if you went to Money Corp at Gatwick Airport, as Martin Lewis, the money-saving man, did. Money Corp were offering 97 cents for every pound and helpfully selling euros for £1.35. What is Brexit Minister David Davis particularly cross about?
Is he cross about the fact that people are going on about the pound, as you have been doing?
It was Ed Miliband and all the other MPs on all sides who've asked for a debate on the deal that the government is going to negotiate with the EU. But David Davis is refusing to allow any room for micromanagement. as he calls the workings of the House of Parliament. You a fan of David Davis?
I didn't really know him particularly well, but I'm getting to know him now in his new role, and you know, hopefully he can do a job for us. We're going to need him to.
You will go find this politics lark.
What about the rest of the government? Theresa May, like her?
Absolutely.
I'm not going to go through the entire...
Yeah, it's going to be a really long show and not a terribly amusing one, I have to say.
Oh, I don't know. I think it might get funny.
Who's been the chief winder-upper of David Davis this week?
Keir Starmer?
Correct, yes. He was the former Director of Public Prosecutions. Or as Ian Duncan Smith called him, a second-rate lawyer. Said the third-rate politician, but... Keir Starmer, as the shadow spokesman for Brexit, had presented the government with 170 questions about the plans for leaving the EU.
I think 140 of the 170 questions from Labour were, who's now in our shadow cabinet?
Who are the new big beasts in the shadow cabinet?
Diane Abbott?
Yes.
She's a big beast.
She's the shadow...
She's a shadow foreign secretary.
I'm not sure you're allowed to say that.
You're a shadow foreign secretary.
No, I'm not.
Shadow Home Secretary. Who were the other surprises in the shadow cabinet?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes. No. Shami Chakrabarti.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
She's been appointed Attorney General.
And why are these surprising choices for Jeremy Corbyn?
Well, Jeremy Corbyn said, I mean, repeatedly during his career, that you shouldn't just parachute people into the House of Lords, that you want to put into government, and the House of Lords is a disgrace. And then he appointed Shami Chakrabarti to be in the House of Lords, despite having said that, and then immediately appointed her to the shadow cabinet, which he also said was appalling when other Labour leaders did it. I'm not suggesting he's inconsistent or hypocritical. I'm just laying out the facts.
How does Shami Chakrabarti respond when asked about justifying sending her kids to an £18,000 per year private school?
This is when she said that she lives in a nice house, so it's OK.
Yes, she said, I have a charmed and privileged life. I live in a nice big house while other people go to food banks. Does that make me a hypocrite?
It's disgraceful, isn't it? Like seeing how something as basic public infrastructure like education, how can that be privately run? Surely it has to be run by the state. It should be the monopoly of the state. And it's just not a level playing field, and whoever takes advantage of such an unfair system should be utterly ashamed of themselves.
Oh, I don't know.
Now, don't applaud. I'm an absolute hypocrite, because given half a chance, I always use the M6 toll. At the poor man's turn off, bye-bye! I worked hard for the right to drive straight. There's even a service station on the M6 toll. Always go in there, it's just a completely different class of people.
Well, this is the news that following the Brexit vote, the pound is now worth roughly the same as a euro. Just as we leave the single market, we join the single currency. Great. As a result of the pound's collapse, Wednesday saw certain brands running low at Tesco's, including Marmite, Pot Noodle and Domestos, which really put the romantic dinner I'd planned for Mrs Mangan up the spout. Ian and Henning, take a look at this.
Yeah, here he is.
That's Boris. Putin checking on the end of the world.
Yeah, the hippies.
Stop the war, I think.
Yeah. Jeremy having a good old time.
Has he joined a band? This is the war in Syria.
Yes.
Boris's first intervention as Foreign Secretary. He has had one idea, which is the no-fly zone. There should be nobody flying over Aleppo or over Syria. But the only people actually flying there at the moment are the Russians. So we need to shoot them down.
Yes, yeah.
Which, again, could trigger a world war, which will make Brexit look quite amusing.
Boris is a bit like the political equivalent to death by misadventure, isn't it? So it's just saying something, and let's see what happens when I say this. Oh, bloody hell, World War III.
Yes, this is the news that Boris Johnson has made his frontbench debut as Foreign Secretary. Boris made another controversial suggestion during his speech. He said, I'd like to see demonstrations outside the Russian embassy. Where is the Stop the War coalition at the moment? Where are they? How did the Russian embassy respond?
It was furious.
Yeah, well, they did what any self-respecting diplomatic mission should do. They got very sassy on Twitter. Within minutes of Boris's comments, Russian envoys in London tweeted the Ministry of Defence saying, "What have you achieved so far?" Russia's record on Syria is thousands of freed villages, thousands of tons of humanitarian aid. What's Britain's?
But in terms of stop the war, it does appear to be that it stops some wars, just not any wars that involve Russia. Russia walks into the Crimea, absolutely fantastic. Let's be on the side of the Russians. The Russians are bombing Syria. Let's not raise our voice about that. Seamus Milne in Pravda today, backing it up. It's just, it really has stopped the West, and I think they're a bunch of shameless hypocrites and they should be called out for it.
I mean, the problem is that if you have a statement from Stop the War, who are against wars, and saying...
Just some wars.
It's very important for us to unite against the West. Just, you think, well, have you been watching this at all? It isn't the 70s.
Yeah, I wish it was the 70s. The Cold War, that was a lot easier to get your head round, wasn't it?
Yeah. There was the Russians and there was everyone else.
Exactly. That's how I liked it.
Ruth, what do you think of Boris?
I think that he's got a tough job and he's giving it his best.
Because you...
Fantastic endorsement.
Because you're friends again now, you did accuse him of peddling lies, didn't you, during the whole Europe thing?
There was a very big debate, and we've yet to see whether £350 million a week is going to go to the NHS.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think we know.
Yeah.
Do you have confidence in Boris Johnson?
I...
You have confidence in the role of Foreign Secretary.
Because you seem quite equivocal in a recent interview.
How about saying, I have confidence in Boris Johnson?
I've always had confidence in the role of the Foreign Secretary.
That's what I said.
Sorry, that's not the same as saying my sentence. I suggested you say, I have confidence, confidence in Boris Johnson. We know you love the post of Foreign Secretary.
Well, look, I sat down with Boris. We had a very good meeting. He's taking the role incredibly seriously.
Why won't
I
you
have
say
more
it?
confidence in Boris Johnson now that I've sat down with him than I have before. There you go.
So, Ruth, do you have confidence in Boris Johnson?
My confidence in Boris Johnson increases every day.
OK, good.
Is this like the pound increasing in value?
Well, one man who could save us from all this global turmoil is the newly appointed UN Secretary-General, Antonio Guterres.
Yes.
Although that does mean a sad goodbye to the wonderful Ban Ki-moon.
I'm making a list, checking it twice. Going to find out who's gonna naughty or nice. Ban Ki-moon is coming to town.
It sounds like a sort of Wild West term, doesn't it? You know, you won't go out in the desert tonight, it's a Ban Ki-moon.
This is Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson taking on Russia over the bombing of Syria. A Russian firm has just launched a child bed in the shape of a missile launcher. You just put it up in your child's bedroom, and before you know it, he's annexed the bathroom. A Russian lawmaker and key ally of Vladimir Putin has told Americans, vote for Donald Trump or face nuclear war, which has left many Americans asking, just how bad can nuclear war be? And so, to round two, it's the picture spin quiz. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Yeah.
Yes, Paul.
Well, it's obviously Donald Trump. You can't help but feel that his opponents have been keeping these sort of leaked, recorded messages back until they made their maximum impact. And there was another one just today about him sort of making a remark about a 10-year-old girl on an escalator. I'll be dating her in 10 years' time, sort of thing. So, I mean, his attitude towards women is very, very much his attitude to the rest of humanity, really, I suppose. He's a dickhead. Does that answer the question?
See, fair enough, yeah.
His basic problem is he's confusing the role of President of America with 1970s light entertainment comedian at the BBC. And the fact that everyone's tolerated him up to this moment, suddenly they've said, well, look, Donald Trump, he's awful. How could we have told? I mean, he's been campaigning for months and months, and we've never had any indication that he might be thoroughly ghastly in any number of ways. I mean, how are we to know? This is unfair.
At what point was it not ludicrous that the presenter of The Apprentice in America could become the Commander-in-Chief? It's like saying the presenter of Have I Got News for You could become Foreign Secretary. Anyway,
I'm sure that loyalty will be rewarded.
Yes, Donald Trump has had a difficult week. He's finally said something even he thinks he needs to apologise for. Publication of a video showing him discussing preying upon married women and kissing and groping women without their consent. Is it fair to judge someone on comments they made 10 years ago? I mean, you know, this is surely just youthful hijinks from when he was 59.
But he was even condemned by his wife, wasn't he? Which is sort of pushing it. Yeah. When the future First Lady says, no, he's appalling.
To be fair, though, that was Michelle Obama's speech she just stole. His supporters leapt to his defence. What sort of thing did they come up with?
We're too thick to know any different.
Trump-loving radio host Bill Mitchell reassuringly tweeted, "Lol, the Democrats think hashtag Trump train is discouraged. We just stop for new tyres." Ian and Paul, you both know a lot about trains. How long does it take to change the tyres? Now, we mustn't forget about Hillary. What's the latest accusation that's been levelled at her?
She's not Donald Trump.
No, that's her campaign.
She's quite unpopular, isn't she?
Well, she's incredibly lucky. I mean, there were some more emails this week that were released about Hillary in which she'd, you know, gone to a private banker's do and says, don't worry what I say in public. I think you guys are great and the only people you know about banking is you. I mean, that's quite damning for a politician. But she's very lucky. This week, Donald has literally trumped it by being the worst candidate ever recorded in electoral history.
Yes.
In any country, at any time, ever.
In any contest.
And I'm including Vlad the Impaler's run.
Well, it's not quite a two-horse race because there is a third option. Gary Johnson is the Libertarian candidate. Fingers crossed that he's the sensible choice.
Yes.
Let's have a look at him in action.
He's great.
What would you do if you were elected about Aleppo?
About
Aleppo.
And what is Aleppo?
No. Aleppo is in Syria. It's the epicenter of the refugee crisis.
Okay, got it. Got it.
Why is he wearing an earpiece? Because obviously it's not connected to anything, but otherwise somebody would have told him.
That's not an earpiece, it's keeping his brain in. This is the news that Donald Trump has had another difficult week. There is one Briton who likes Donald Trump. Nigel Farage compared him to a big silverback gorilla. Where's a trigger-happy zookeeper when you need one? Fingers on buzzers, teams.
this is crazy, freaky clowns that are going around terrorising people.
Yep.
But they've been coming a cropper because some people are fighting back, and now a man dressed as Batman is now being an vigilante beating up people dressing up as clowns.
Yes, that's correct. Let's look at the Daily Star's soothing map of where incidents have taken place so far.
Look at that, most of that up north. And they've got bugger all else to do. Can I become Foreign Secretary?
So, from the clown's point of view, what are the dangers of this craze?
Well, people stop finding them funny.
Yes, true, but it could be more physically dangerous than that. One clown was left with a bloodied nose.
A red nose?
Yes. An actual red nose after one of his victims headbutted him in revenge, saying, "That's what happens when you scare people, you get nutted." You've got a tattoo that says that, haven't you, Ian?
Yes, but to be fair, it is on his butler. It's on the butler, isn't it?
It's a dangerous pursuit, scaring people, as we see in this classic clip.
Are you going trick-or-treating?
No, probably.
This is the news that people around the UK are dressing up as clowns to scare people. According to the Daily Star, in one instance, a killer clown terrified staff at a fast food chain. He said he was from the Home Office Immigration Department. There were a spate of sightings in Manchester, one of a clown with a chainsaw whose grotesque features were terrifying passers-by. But it just turned out to be Mick Hucknall trimming his hedge.
Mick Hucknall? Topical news quiz.
Time now for the odd one out round. Ed Balls, Andy Murray, Mrs. Troffea from 16th century Strasbourg, and black lace singer Dean Michael.
It's got to be dancing.
Yes.
Ed Balls is still on Strictly Come
Still in
Dancing,
there.
unless this is a repeat, in which case he won. The man from Black Lace.
Did they not invent the conga?
They didn't invent the conga. Surely the conga had been going right back.
When did you start doing the conga? Ian?
I think Ian has home movie footage of Lloyd George doing it. 1921.
That painting has never danced.
Was she put to death for dancing?
Which one is the odd one out?
Oh, yeah, we still haven't got that one sorted.
Andy Murray's the odd one out, because all the others have got involved in dancing and he hasn't.
Is the correct answer. They have all led a dance, apart from Andy Murray, who broke with years of tradition by refusing to dance with Serena Williams at the Wimbledon Champions Ball. What accident befell Murray as he made his escape from the dance floor?
Did his phone catch fire?
Did he trip and fall over?
Yeah.
Is the right answer. He said people were shouting, "Dance, dance," at me. I got distracted and I fell down the stairs. Ed Balls has made it through to the third round of Strictly Come Dancing after winning the nation over with his samba. Balls told the Mail on Sunday, "I've been trying to cram in as much practice as possible. I've even been dancing on train journeys," which was all going fine till he tripped over some miserable old bloke sitting on the floor, moaning about the lack of seats.
You wonder why politicians see the need to be on any light entertainment formats. So what is the appeal? If there only was someone here that could enlighten us.
You should ask the Foreign Secretary that question.
Yeah, do you have confidence in Boris Johnson?
I think he'd be excellent on Strictly Come Dancing, yes.
Not the question I asked, but moving along. Frau Troffea of Strasbourg was the first victim of the 1518 dancing plague. She began dancing in the street, according to parish records. Within 4 days, she'd been joined by 33 others. And within a month, there were 400 people dancing, many of whom suffered heart attacks and died of dancing mania. Do you know what caused this mania?
Poisoned mushrooms.
Well, almost, yeah. The latest theory points to a poisonous ergot fungus. Yeah.
It's only when I come on this programme I realise I know stuff.
Yeah. It's like an organic version of LSD.
Lovely.
According to Wikipedia, the plague began in 1518 when Mrs. Troffea began dancing fervently in the street, egged on by a young Mick Jagger. Black lace singer Dean Michael Betteridge revealed that during his time in prison he led a 60-man conga line around the prison yard.
I know their records were pretty bad, but I didn't know he'd been sent to prison.
Doing the conga in prison, it's less a dance, more a trust exercise.
I'd like to be the one right at the back, to be honest.
Black Lace's albums include Party Party, Party Party 2, Party Crazy, 16 Greatest Party Hits, 20 All-Time Party Favourites, Black Lace's Greatest Ever Party Album, Action Party, What a Party, Black Lace's Live Beach Party, and after the court case, Guilty Party. Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication, Fish Pal.
Fish Pal.
We start with what should be admired for putting up with all the abuse humanity throws at them.
White heterosexual man.
Salmon. Fish. Haddock. Bream.
Brown trout!
Trout!
Should be admired for putting up with all the abuse humanity throws at them. This is an article from Fish Pal about the brown trout winning a vote to become Britain's favourite fish. Next, German tourist what, wearing only a hat, fleece and shorts?
Casually.
No, the answer is German tourist tries to paddle channel wearing only hat, fleece and shorts. According to reports, the Germans set off from the French coast, trying to get across the Channel to Britain. You didn't manage it in 1941, Fritz. You're not doing it now.
Boring.
Next, what and a what had a brief tussle before parting company?
Britain and the European Union?
Steve Watson and Cod.
Getting closer.
It's John Watson and Cod.
Oh, that's so good I've got to give it to you. Johnny Griffiths and a good-sized fish. Had a brief tussle before parting company. Next, man's intimidating trousers. What?
Man's intimidating trousers cause consternation in local village.
Well, that's pretty much it,
Oh,
yeah.
no, it can't
Trigger protest resignations on council. This is a county council meeting where one councillor's trousers were called intimidating. Here he is. Mr. Dowson says he owns 41 pairs of camouflage trousers. He needs that many because they're very difficult to find. Next, Shakespeare caused quite a stir within the salmon fly community. What?
When he wrote Halibut, Prince of Denmark. Pilchard III.
Midsummer Night's Dream.
The answer is Shakespeare caused quite a stir within the salmon fly community with a new range of rods. This is Shakespeare the Rod Company. As featured in Fish Pal magazine, Shakespeare and fishing have got quite a lot in common.
Here we go.
You sit around for hours getting bored and then everyone dies. And finally, Pope blissfully unaware what?
There's no word missing.
No, the answer is Pope blissfully unaware he was being photobombed by a dog. Here is the cheeky mutt. The incident happened at the Vatican as the Pope met with members of a dog agility group. The Pope blessed the dogs by making the sign of the cross, and after one of them defecated on his shoes, he made the sign of the very cross. So, the final scores are Ian and Henning have 5, but Paul and Ruth are this week's winners with 9.
Oh, victory. Well done.
Now I leave you with the news that senior figures in the Labour Party hierarchy deny that MPs disloyal to the leader are being abused. In Cornwall, one pensioner struggles to understand why he's not getting any reception on his phone. And as more revelations about BHS emerge, Philip Green poses for a photo shoot in a doomed attempt to show he's not a prick.